Hey guys, Chad Andrews here, Total Cyclist, training centers, camps, and coaching. I want to learn how to shift. So I am going to, wait, that's counterproductive. I would like to tell you guys, if you're a beginner or intermediate cyclist, I'd like to teach you on kind of some of the intricacies that go into going uphill, and going downhill while you are shifting. First thing we want to do, obviously, is tell you what the heck you're looking at. All right, so I am going to put up a little graphic here so that you guys can look, and let's walk through it real quick. Here you have, ta-da, that is what we call the crank arm. I heard some of my friends call it the pedal stick. No, that is the crank arm. Got that? The pedal stick. So there's the pedal stick. Here is the big chain ring on the front. Got it? We've got the pedal stick. We've got the big chain ring. Next thing we have is inside of that is the small chain ring. So we've got crank arm, big chain ring, small chain ring, and then one final thing, we have the front derailleur. French term for meaning, I don't know, maybe shift up the front. I probably should have looked that up, but it's irrelevant. It's called the derailleur, internationally known as the front derailleur, okay? Not to get too inundated with you guys, but everybody knows what this is. The chain. This is the chain. Now, of course, we are talking about, I do want to make it understood that we are talking about the road bike today. Most road bikes now, they're kind of changing up a little bit to go from two front chain rings, which is a big chain ring and a small chain ring, and they are going to somehow miraculously go to where the mountain bikes have gone, and that is to go to one chain ring. But the technology is not all there yet. Not everybody has a front chain ring. Really what they focus on is disc brakes versus switching it to what we call a one-by on road bikes. But it is coming, my friends. It is coming for sure. Okay, so we've talked about the front chain ring, the small chain ring. The big chain ring, the small chain ring, the pedal stick, aka the crank arm, the front derailleur, the chain. Now we have what we call, this is the rear cassette. If you are not a great climber, you want the cassette that is the smallest, which, guys, the smaller it is in the back, the easier it is. No, check that. The bigger it is in the back, let's go over that again. The bigger it is in the back, which is this one right here. I'm going to guess that's probably a 25 teeth. These are all teeth right here. 1 tooth, 2 tooth, 3 tooth, 4 tooth, 5 tooth. The bigger it is in the back, the easier it is. The bigger it is in the front, the harder it is. So if you want your easiest gear, if you're just learning, your easiest gear is going to be, so if you want to climb up mountain, a big mountain or whatever, it's going to be the small chain ring and your biggest cassette in the back. And the bigger it is, there's 32 teeth out there, and they've made it so that your derailleur can handle that. This is your rear derailleur, guys. Got it? These are your jockey, pulley, whatever you want to call it. So you've got it down. Rear, let's go over it again. This is your pedal stick, otherwise known as, what are we calling it? Chain ring. Whew, my walk was too hard today, evidently. Let's start over, Chad. That's the second time I've screwed this up. I just can't get over pedal stick. I think it cracks me up. All right, this is your crank arm. Cool. This is your front chain ring, big. This is your front chain ring, small, right here. This is your front derailleur, right here. Got that? This is your chain. Got that? And this is your cassette. The bigger it is, the easier it is to pedal. And then here is your rear derailleur. All right. So now that you guys have got that, what I would like to go over with you is the biggest challenge that we've seen for people when they're starting to learn, or even they're more advanced, they have a hard time with going downhill. So let's say you're going up let's say you're at the top of a big hill, and everybody's like, okay, I want to go really, really fast. So you're going down the hill, and guess what? The law of physics says equal and opposite reactions. So if you're going downhill, you got to come back up. The biggest problem we have is where people get into what we call the trough. Same thing goes with skiing. Let me try to give you guys a demo. I'm going to do it old school. All right. Got your hilltop right up here. Got it? Now, you got to go from hilltop down here to the bottom and then go back up. And most people start changing right in here in the trough. Not a good idea. You want to anticipate by shifting on the downhill section before you get to the trough and then before you start going back up. So if you're in the big chain ring in the front, we've already talked about it. And let's go over it again real quick. If you're going down the hill, the bigger gear... Oop, that doesn't supposed to work. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on. Silly, silly, silly thing. Let's take this off. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. My fault. So, again, you're at the top of that hill, and you shift into your big ring, because why? You want to go fast. And the bigger this gear is, the faster you'll go. So you'll put it there, and then you'll put it in the small one down here. Well, let's erase that. Let's just say most people are not going to be. The world-class sprinters, let me give this to you. When they're on the flat road, world-class sprinters, they'll be using this one right here. That bad boy right there. This is called your 11 or your 12, somewhere around there. But if you are descending, you're going to have it in this gear right here, which is the big chain ring. Remember that. That's important. And you're going to have it probably somewhere in here for most people for a descent. All right, let's review it on the trough. You've got your hilltop. Ta-da! Right here, hilltop. Got it? Move it up a little bit. Big chain ring, coming down, coming down, coming down. You should shift before, let me move this out of the way. You should shift before you get to the trough. Okay, what does that mean? How do we do it? We're going to show you. Watch. All right, let's get rid of this bad boy. So yeah, we understand that. Let's pull up this one. Nope, not that one. All right, now, here again, let's talk about this. Very simple, but this is actually my daughter's bike. This is the big chain ring. This is a gear that she wants to go downhill pretty fast. All right, because she's put it in the big chain ring. Or, if you're really strong, you could ride that in the flats all day long. Now, we are going to advance this just a little bit. Now, you could see that diagram that I just showed you just a little bit ago. This is her gear for going downhill. This is what most people would ride in the downhill. Somewhere in the middle of the cassette, and then in the big chain ring to go downhill. So we're starting to go downhill. Remember, guys, this is really important. Remember when I said we were at the top of the hill and we're going down? This is the gear that most of us will be riding in going down the hill. But before we get to that trough, we want to shift gears. All right, so we're going to advance it. Now, first thing everybody does is they shift, and this is critical. This is the mistake everybody makes. They start with this. Don't shift from here to there, to the small ring. Don't go big ring to small ring. Why? Because when you get out of that trough, and you're going down, just before you get to the trough, everybody has a tendency to shift down. Shift from big ring to small ring. What that does is that creates a vast change in gear ratio. It makes you go from to zzz. Then a lot of times if you do that, if you wait too long, if you go to shift, remember, everybody thinks, oh, I got to shift because a big hill's coming. I got to go from the big chain ring in the front to the small chain ring up front. No, that's not your first move. It's counterintuitive. What you're going to do, let's advance that and show you. Pause that. There we go. All right. So, that's another view of it, what it looks like front to back, going downhill. Okay? Hope you like the birds in the background. Now, here's what's going to happen. Now, I want your first move, your first thought process. Don't think about the left-hand shifter, because the left-hand shifter up front will shift it from big to small by tapping it. And we'll show you that in a second. Don't do that. You want to shift the right hand first, 2 or 3 gears harder. Because what that does is that creates the gear ratio not to shift so much, to going from a really big gear to a really small gear ratio, from going to, because if you do that, there's a good chance A, you're going to drop the chain, and B, it's going to just starch your momentum to go up the hill, and then you won't be able to catch up. Meaning you'll be going so fast downhill that you'll change from big ring to small ring, then you'll hit the base, and then you'll be in such an easy gear that your legs will be spinning so fast. Finally, when the gravity and the gear ratio meet, you're going to be going 6 miles an hour. So no, we're not going to do that. We're going to change the rear first. Where's the rear? It's the right hand. See me reaching for the right hand? I'm going to reach for that first. And I'm going to touch it for most shifting. Everybody's different, but all I want you to know in this situation is that you're going to shift it harder 2 or 3 times. Pop, pop, pop. Won't it make it even harder to pedal because you're in the big chain ring in the front and you go to a harder gear? Remember, it's the smaller gear in the back. Yes, you're shifting down 3 gears harder. Why? Because that will create less stress. Here we go. Boom, boom. Get to the base of the hill. That's the first step. Doesn't hurt my second here. Second step. Then you're going to shift when you get to the base, just at the base of the trough, just before you start getting pressure on the hill. When gravity starts kicking in, then, because remember, you're going from in the back, you're going to shift down a couple gears harder. So it makes your pedal, it makes you even faster because you're in the big in the front and you start shifting gears harder in the back. But as soon as you get to the base of that trough and it starts just a little bit of pressure, not a lot, because if you change it too late, then it may throw your chain off. Just at the base, when it just starts a tiny bit of pressure, that's when you're going to tap the left one to go from big chain ring in the front to small chain ring. First step, shift 3 in the back, or 2, depending upon the steepness of the hill. Then, yes, it's going to make it harder. Then the next thing you're going to do, when you get to the base of the trough and you start climbing, just before the resistance kicks in, then you're going to shift the left hand, which was number 2. Let's back up. That, number 1 was shifting the right first. We've already done that. Now we're going to shift to the left. And it's going to drop it from the big chain ring down. Oh, you might have missed that. But it shifted down. And now you can see right here. Oh, it won't pause for me. There we go. Watch, it'll pop again. See that? We're catching it in action right there. Then you're going from big to small. That's the second step. It's not the first step. Don't make that first step on a downhill going back up. Don't make that your first step. Make that your second step. Does that make sense? Should. Practice it. It's such a great skill set. A lot of people say, well, I'm dropping my chains and stuff like that. You've got to learn just before you come into that trough and start going back up to tap it there. Because if you wait too long and try to do it, then you're just going to grind yourself to dust. Because you're already in a big gear in the back and you're in a big gear in the front. You've got to practice the technique of getting it from the big chain ring to the small chain ring just before pressure comes on your gearing. Cool? All right. Let's see if I've got one more for you. Oh, we'll just advance it. So, here's your left shifter. Let's show you what that one looks like. I tried to point at it. Left shifter. This shifts. What does that shift? It shifts. Where did you go? All right. It shifts your big chain ring in the front to the small chain ring. This, on the right, shifts the rear of your bicycle in your cassette. Step number 1 on your descent. This is step number 1. Right here. You shift this one hard 2 or 3 times. Step number 2, you shift this easy just before you feel the pressure on the bicycle. That's simple. Now, it does take practice. You do need to practice it for sure. So, but if you have any questions or problems with trying it out, hit me up. info@totalcyclist.com. We do camps all the time teaching people how to shift gears. And this one steals the show. This one is like legit good. So do it. Try it. Train with it. If you're not sure, send us an email. info@totalcyclist.com. Hope you guys are having a great day. Beer and pizza today. Today is still again, no pizza tonight. I'm trying to be good. But this is a Stella, because of course we have to have beer during beer and pizza. All right, that's going to do it. Sorry about the throat a little bit. Still pollen. I don't do well with pollen. But that being said, hope you guys have a wonderful night. Any questions? Hit us on Facebook. Oh, please go to our YouTube page, Total Cyclist. Hit the subscribe button. All these get uploaded to YouTube. Hit the notifications. We would really appreciate it. All right. Peace.